Hello, hello, hello. So I'm back, and this is 50 Shades of Single, and you're watching the first episode, zero. So today I want to start by talking about who I am and what my journey's been, because this handle 50 Shades of Single was conceptualized when 50 Shades of Grey was so big, so it's not so, iconic, but the whole point was that 50 Shades of Grey had a big impact when I read the books and watched the movies, and it was all about, S&M and really embracing your fetish and kink and everything. And back in the day, I used to live in Melbourne at that time. Melbourne was still very, conservative and orthodox, so it was all about very vanilla sex. So 50 Shades of Grey really resonated with me, and because my last name is Single, I thought, why not 50 Shades of Single? And I did a play on it by making it GLE, so it's like being single, but 50 Shades. So I had that account on Instagram for a long, long time, maybe 14 years, until it got deleted just in the pandemic. And it was very hard, especially going into the pandemic and being isolated and really, figuring out how to connect with the people. And it really left me isolated, and I pleaded with them. And because there were a lot of nudity violations and all those things, which I'm guilty of because of American censorship, you never knew where you stood, so they didn't give it back. And I finally got the handle back this year after 2 years. So I lost about 6,000 followers and people that I knew for a very long time. Now, I grew up in a town called Chandigarh, which was designed by Corbusier. And it's not so old, it's a lot of rich people, and it's practically a luxurious little prison. And growing up there was as fancy and as posh as it was. It was also very isolating, because growing up in India, there was just no one, no gay people anywhere. It was just extremely, feminine portrayals when it came to media, and no one was out. And even when I went back to Chandigarh now, after so many years, I still felt like I was the only out person there, and my family completely hates me for it. And I very quickly knew from all the bullying and all, I wanted to just not live and kill myself, because I really didn't see how I could survive in a society like that, and what they would do to me when I was of a marriageable age or when they found out. So my only ticket was to just get the fuck out of here. And I fought my way, and I just did everything I could to get myself out of there, and I ended up in Melbourne. And that's when I really started to learn life and to figure everything out from scratch as a brown, phobby. Phobby is a term Australians use for fresh off the boat, someone who's not, primed and pruned for the white world. And I had to learn a lot, and it was crash course, and I have a lot of people to thank for that. But I survived and learned and flourished. And I always used to think I'm a bottom until then, because all the boyfriends I had in India just wanted to fuck me. And it really changed when I started to have sex and really experiment and see where my pleasure lay, instead of just being typecasted into tops or bottoms. And even though I'm feminine and I have a great ass, it doesn't actually mean I'm a bottom. So it's all about where you get that pleasure. And Australia really taught me that through hundreds and hundreds of men I met, and they were amazing. And it was very interesting. But having lived that life for a long time, you get sick of it, and you feel you need to come back to India, and you need to really fight that fight. And I decided to leave Australia in 2016, quit my job, and I thought I'll help the world. I became a yoga teacher. I didn't want to be chained to the desk anymore. It was just not my passion. I wanted to be creative. I wanted to be out there. And I thought, I am one of the few people who can actually do something for the community. So why not use that and I decided to open India's first LGBT yoga retreat, which some of you may know me from. So I moved back to India, and that didn't go well with my family, and I was all over the news, and it's the hardest and the best thing I've ever done, because I ran into my husband now there in Goa. I finished the project, I run the project, but I fell in love, and it came to choosing whether I'm gonna live here, do the project, and be long distance. And after 2 years, we just decided it's too hard. So I decided to give that up and move to Berlin. And I had a relationship to Berlin before, because it's just like a bigger Melbourne, and it's very diverse, and you could be naked everywhere and you can fuck everywhere, and that really resonated with me, just being invisible after years and years of racism in Australia. And it felt nice, and I learned the language, and I started my own business of making soaps and natural products and Ayurvedic products, so that did very well, and it was my window to the outside society. And then the pandemic came, and everything just shut, and I was still the busiest person alive, because I was still doing a lot of work on my business, and still trying to have sex here and there, which we'll talk about more. And then we decided to take a break and come back to Delhi. So we are in Delhi as of April this year, and here I am, and I want to talk about sex and my sexual experiences and what it's like living in all these places, and contrasting all the sexual relationships I've had, and what it's like to be in marriage and open marriage, and what it's like to be a bottom or a top, and all the STIs. So stay tuned, and I hope to converse with you more and engage people more, especially gay Desis all over the world, and really bring them together on this platform and talk about sex and talk about nudity and talk about everything there is to talk about under the sun, which we do not do, especially in India or in Indian communities. So stay tuned, spread the love, and stay tuned.